Welcome to Real Judaism with Rabbi Ari Klapper. Unfiltered wisdom for Jewish life.
Good, we're here on Daf Reish Gimel. Ois Gimel, the third of the Ani Mamin, the third principle of faith of the Rambam. Ani Mamin be'emunah shlema sha'aboyeri yisbarach shemoy eino guf v'lo yisiguhu misige aguf ve'ein lo shum dimyon kalal. We believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not physical. He has nothing, no physical aspects at all. And there is no physical manifestation of Hashem. Zemuchrach, says Rav Pinkus, Zemuchrach, it has to be this way. Ma'oizo inyan shidbar kodim, based on what we explained earlier. Shkol mehusa guf hi hagdara v'hagbala. When we say there's a guf, it means there's a limitation. It means you're limited to your guf. No matter how big or as tall you are, you're still limited. If you're 6 feet tall, well, that's your limitation. If you're 7 feet tall, then that's your that's your limitation. If you're Oig Melech HaBasham and you're picking up mountains, so that's still your limitation. You're still limited. You still have a gvul. You're still limited. And that can't be by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'zeh lo tolu im zeh guf im einayim v'oznayim o guf elyon l'mala mikol ha'tfiza. It doesn't matter if it's a guf the way we understand it, a body with eyes and ears, or it's another type of physical body that we can't understand. The idea of a body is that it is some kind of kli that holds in something on the inside. The whole purpose of a kli is to limit. Right? This was a classic example of the difference between chesed and gvura, is that chesed alone is constant giving, endless giving. But you need to have a kli kibul. You need to have something that can hold that what's being given. If you have the example that I like to say, maybe I've said it here in the past, is if somebody there's a fresh water spring. So if you want water, so you want water to drink, so the type of kli, the type of utensil, vessel that you want is something that you can hold in your hand and use it in order to drink from that water. So you're going to want something like the size of a cup. Now, if somebody gives you a shot glass, which I don't know if anybody uses shot glasses anymore, right? If somebody gives you a shot glass, so then you can only be able to drink very little. So you want a little bit of a bigger cup. So you have a small plastic cup. Okay, but that's still very small. Okay, so we're going to give you a big glass. Oh, okay, we're No, not a big glass. I'm going to give you one of those 7-Eleven big gulps, right? The type that you can fit your whole body into, right? Those things, we're going to give you that, right? No, even that's not good enough. We're going to give you a bucket. Now, at a certain point, it can become silly. Like, I'm drinking from a bucket. That's what I'm going to do. No, a bucket's not good enough. We want to give you more to drink, so we're going to give you a barrel. Seriously? Somebody's going to actually start drinking from a barrel? No, even that's not good enough. We're giving you a bathtub. And even that's not good enough. We're going to give you a jacuzzi, a swimming pool, a man-made lake, an ocean. At a certain point, the kli becomes so big that it can't be used anymore. So the whole purpose is, no, we need to limit it in order to make it usable. But that's what the midah is. That's what the midah of gvura is. The midah to put limits. But Hashem is limitless. Hashem himself doesn't have any limits. Hashem himself is the existence of complete oneness that has no rules and no boundaries, no borders at all. Right? And therefore there is no form. There's no form, because if there would be a form, the form would be limiting already. Even an ocean is still limiting. Even though it seems to be endless, but really, it is limited. It is. Everything on this planet is limited, except the HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself was not on this planet. The planet is in Hashem. And all of the universe is only in Hashem, and Hashem is much bigger than the whole universe. Shedimyon hu agdaras inyan v'hu yizbarach lamala mikol agdara. So that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu is above all limitations. So that's why the third of the Ani Mamins is also related to Hashem's oneness, which we said comes from the Koyach HaChidush, the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created Yesh Me'ayin, and that shows he's not limited at all to anything, which we see in Shabbos, and that's how the third of the Ani Mamins is related to Shabbos. Now, number... Like a gather, yeah. Lagdir, yeah. It means to encapsulate, right? To put a boundary or border. Dalit. Ani mamin be'emuna shlema shaboyer yisparach shema hu rishoin v'hu acharoin. We believe with a complete faith that Hashem, the Creator, the Blessed One, is first and He is last. Zeh behechrech mikoyach chidish. This idea has to come from the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created everything from nothingness. Since everything, all of existence was created from Hashem, it must be then that He was first. He was here before everything else. If He created everything, then it must be He was first, right? I think we talked about this, that when you ask those guys who are, the Big Bang Theory guys, who says that the world is 15 billion years old, okay, 15 billion years old, but what happened before the 15 billion years? What was there before the 15 billion years? What was that? What was there? Complete nothingness. Okay, so where did it come from? So where did all the things come from? The Big Bang. Well, who caused the Big Bang? Where did it come? It was an accident. But even if it was an accident, it's got to come from somewhere, right? An accident comes from somebody looking at their smartphone when they're driving past. That's how, and they run a red light and they hit another car. That's an accident. It means there was a car, there was a smartphone, and there was an accident. It means it starts from something, right? If you don't have anything to start from, so where do you start? Where before the 15 billion years, what was there? It must have been that there was something there. What's that something that created the Big Bang? Who did that? So that means Hashem is Rishoyin. There was a power, something much bigger, something that's not limited to created that Big Bang. And now I'm not a pusher of Big Bang. I'm just here to say that this is not an explanation of how the world could exist without God. Right? You want to be a scientist and you want to say the world is this and this years old and therefore we don't need God. There was no God. But even that's not true. Even that's not true. What was everything? Where did that come from? So that's the idea over here. Hashem was before everything, and Hashem is limitless. Hashem is eternity. We don't know these concepts. We are finite beings. Because we're finite beings, we don't have that capability to understand what infinite is. We don't know. So, but it has to be that way. When we believe in the power of Chiddush, of a Yesh Ma'ayin, it has to be that HaKadosh Baruch Hu came before everything. I'm sorry, I skipped a line. Go back. It has to be then that he is also the end. What does that mean? He's the end. All power that there is, all of existence that there is in the world, it's only from Hashem. Must be then that if he desires that they should just be over, they'll be over. There won't be any existence ever again. There won't be anything. Hashem in his ratzon, he decides he wants to be a world, to be a world. In the second day of creation, Hashem split the waters. Hashem says, okay, we're going to be a split in the waters. I think the words that they translate, the ArtScroll translation is for the word rakia. That Hashem put a rakia, means like some form of separation, the firmament. I think that's the word that's used. I don't know exactly what a firmament is. But when you look at Rashi over there, Rashi says, how is it that the waters are staying up there in Shamayim? How is it? So they said they're in fear. What are they in fear of? They're in fear of the word of Hashem. Hashem says, you stay there. That's why we're staying. That's it. Which means it's the word of Hashem that's keeping everything going. That's it. Hashem says, Hu amar vayeh, light, yes. I think this guy still does it. When I was in yeshiva many years ago, so we had the custodian of the yeshiva took care of changing all the light bulbs and taking care of everything. He had a few people working for him, but he was the one in charge. His name was Orlando. Is Orlando. I think he still does it. All right? And Orlando, whenever he would change a light bulb, right before it would go on, he would say, "Let there be light." And then it would turn on. Okay? I don't know if he was pretending to be God or he just wanted to reference something from the Bible. I don't know exactly what it was. But he was a big Baal Musa, right? He would always scream at the guys for wasting time outside of base medrash and send guys back in. He was Hispanic. He is Hispanic, and he would say, "What you guys doing here? I'm going to tell the rabbi. You go back inside and learn." Anyway, probably has a lot of schusim for that. Anyway. It's not his word that turned on the light bulb. It's the fact that Hashem wants it to be a world. Hashem decided there's going to be light. There's light. It's his word. And therefore, if he decides, I'm going to take my word back, it's going to be over, then that's it. There just won't be any existence. And that's what it means. He's the end. Because without him, all of existence just wouldn't be here, except for him. Except for Hashem. Hashem would still be here. And when there is no existence, he'll still be here. Like the Rambam says in the beginning of Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah, which is in the very beginning of the Mishnah Torah, and if you would think, something would come into your head that he's not there, then there wouldn't be anything here. That's the lashon of the Rambam. Nimsa al korchoch she'ein shum echad achor. So it can't be that there's something would be afterwards, after him. Because if there would be something after him, that means there would be existence, something would exist without him. So therefore, there can't be anything afterwards. There can't be something that remains here if he doesn't remain here. Because all of existence only comes from him. So that's why he is the first and he is the last. Now, Pinchas adds another very important point over here. From this power of Chiddush, of Yesh Me'ayin, of creating something from nothing, so we also have a very deep idea that of the Kadmon B'li Tchila, of the original source of everything without anything before it. Darei kol metzius michudeshes b'mehuta hanechoina hi ratzon amechadish v'dibros kodsho. All of existence that was created from nothing, b'mehusa hanechoina, in its true essence, is only the ratzon of the one who created it, of the one who spoke and said, I want this to be here. Nimsa shametzius amiti hayechidis hu irak metzius shlo itchacha ela tomid hoisa. So it comes out that true existence is only from the original moment of the creation of that existence. And it will never be renewed ever again. She'im hu atzmo itchadesh, imkein hu lo hu ela rotzon mechadesh. Because if, I'm going to explain all of this in a second. It seems to be a very, very deep idea. Yeah? Because if it itself could become new, then it wouldn't be coming from Hashem. It would be coming from the one who is mechadish something. Let's give an example what he's saying over here, right? We live in an incredible generation where it seems like almost every day there are new discoveries, new powers in the world, right? Who would have believed that there would be such a thing as the internet? You go back 100 years, they could never have dreamed even such a thing. And okay, now there's an internet, but besides for that, you could have cell phones where you're talking to a piece of metal and somebody on the other side of the world can hear you. You could be connected to every single thing in the world with just a few, I don't want to say used to be pushes of buttons. Even that you don't need to do anymore. Some swipes and that's it. And now you could actually start asking questions to a machine and it'll give you not only the wrong answers, but politically incorrect ones also. You can start, there's artificial intelligence. Whoever would have believed, it seems daily there are new inventions. Now it seems like all of these things are being created. They're new. There's new technology. There's new, as if they created it themselves. These powers have been in the world always. They were just being discovered now. It's like the guy who discovered America. Yeah, there are 2 whole continents that the entire world didn't know, except for, a few Indians here and there. Yeah, didn't know about. Does that mean they created it? They created those 2 continents? It's a lot. It's a pretty big thing to miss, right? Like we're talking about a significant portion of the world. And over, you missed that? Yeah, for thousands of years, nobody knew about it. So for even more thousands of years, nobody knew about this capacity that there was in the Bria. They didn't create those things. They discovered them. They was always here. They only discovered them. There's nothing here that was created. Created means from nothing. Discovered means we found new ways of putting pieces together in order to create different results. But those results were always in the Bria. It's just now we're putting this and this together and we discovered that if you put blue and yellow together, so you'll get green. That was always there. That power was always there. Well, you think you created the color green? It's always been there. You didn't know. It happened to be. You didn't know. You didn't know that that's how you make penicillin or other types of medicines. You just didn't know. So these new creations that are being created, quote unquote, are not really creations. They've always been here. It's only Hashem and Him only that can create something truly from nothing. Mechadash. Something completely new. Therefore, it has to be that one thing that created everything has to be essential in and of itself. Because if you wouldn't have that, it would be nothing. So it must be that there is a being, there is a creation, or not a creation, there is something that always was. There has to be. There has to be. And the truth of the matter is, we said this before, and that the Greek philosophers and others that followed in their ways said, yes, there's the spiritual and there's the physical, and both of them, Rahman al-Islam, say such tefillah existed forever. That's how they explained it. In fact, on a logical level, it makes much more sense for them if you don't really want to believe in God and you want to believe in another power. That actually makes more sense, because otherwise you'll always have to go back and where did it come from? So you know where did it come from? It was always here. The same thing that we know about the Ribono Shel Olam, they say about something else. The only thing is that means you're limiting it, and then you don't have these klolim, and we know that that's not true. V'im tomid haya. So if HaKadosh Baruch Hu always was, so therefore it must be that He is the one who put all of existence into existence. Because anything that happens, he uses the word b'mikra over here, which is a lashon of like by accident, right? Obviously it's not by accident. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu did it on purpose. But what it means by accident is that it just happens to be here. Why do we live in 2026? Right? Why did they live in 1950? Why? Is that it would seem you could say that it's some form of accident. Happens to be. I was born in 1980. Happens to be. So it may sound like, oh, that was an accident that happened. But that's not what it means. Obviously, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu has the plan.
Thank you for joining Real Judaism. where we explore Torah's wisdom for real life. Created by J Foundations and produced by Ellie Podcast Productions. Find more episodes at realjudaism.org and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.